Hi there, I'm Baldwin Burgess and welcome to Systematic Business Development. It's a beautiful day out here in Brussels, so I thought I'd do a recording outside. What I want to do today is answer a big question, and answer the question of whether or not you are asking the right questions. See, asking the right questions is extremely important in the success of your business development. Let me tell you why. Before we do that, let's look at what we're going to be covering in this video. First of all, well, we all know that information is now a commodity. There is more information than we can handle. And the true challenge is to ask the right questions to get to the right information. What we're going to be looking at is a method that is going to help you win more business by revealing the hidden answers and opportunities that those right questions can yield. So let's get into this. Well, it used to be a lot of work to get information. I don't have to tell you this, right? I mean, we used to have to go to the library, and it was very exhaustive. But not anymore, because today everything is at our fingertips. We have more information than we can handle. However, most of us are still trained to focus on knowing answers. This has to do with our education system. I'll get into that a bit later. So we have this old school legacy that we're all dealing with. It's about, we've been taught to focus on past experience rather than the ability to gather new knowledge, and to make assumptions rather than tap into data. Or our education system also still operates on the basis of knowing rather than our ability to discover. So it's at least in my generation, these are things that work against us. These are things that we have to work on to improve in order to deal with this sudden instant information overload that some of us are suffering with and some of us are thriving on. Knowing how to find the essence of all that information is really the formula for success. Because the world has evolved. Really, information has become a commodity. There's more than we can handle again, right? We live in the era of big data, which means that we have the Internet of Things. And that is when everything is connected. Not only people, but trillions of devices will be connected. And we'll have a real-time input on what is exactly going on in the world. So this also means that we're in a period where we've entered an era where guessing is no longer necessary, because we can know. So this is a paradigm shift for a lot of businesses who still live in that legacy of having to know things rather than finding things out. Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Alphabet, which is the core business of Apple that was put into another company, said that the internet will disappear. He said that last year. What he really meant is that it's going to become invisible, because right now you can still log in or out of the internet, but the internet is going to evolve into something that's always switched on. The reason is because all the devices around you will be connected, and so will you. So the internet is going to be switched on all the time, and that's just going to make the world a fully real-time experience for everybody. So intelligence has to be redefined as well. It's less about what you know and more about how fast you can learn and adapt to new information. It gives you a competitive advantage as well, because those who know how to find the right information, ask the right questions, and answer the right questions are going to have a competitive advantage over all the others. And the thing about answers is that the obvious answers almost never reveal the right information. Let me explain this a little bit more. Because if you ask the wrong questions, you get poor answers, and that means that you wind up with mediocrity. You wind up with mediocre strategies, mediocre ideas. So asking the right questions really is a key skill set to master. The development of your business will increasingly depend on it as well. But the thing is, how do we ask the right questions? Well, there's a method which is very ancient. It's back from Socrates gave this shape, and that's why they call it the Socratic method. The old philosopher believed that the obvious answers are not really the real answers, and the thing is that the Socratic method helps us overcome a few of our inherent flaws. And the first one would be, like, our nature is to think in established patterns, right? We don't like to basically step out there and get out of our comfort zone. And even when asked, we often don't know or dare to formulate what really matters. And the reason why we do this is because society compels us to be considerate with our answers, because we have to live together, right? And we override our subconsciousness with prefabricated and acceptable answers. And the Socratic method helps find the real reasons behind what truly matters, and those yield valuable answers. You see, you can go out and ask your clients the questions that you think will give you the answers, but the problem is that your clients are not always going to tell you exactly what's going on. So you need a better process to find that information. Now, the best marketers ignore what people say. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the best example that comes to mind right now, it's a classic example, is Apple. Apple put products in front of their clients that they didn't even know they wanted. But once they saw it, they couldn't live without them. And that's a classic example of digging deeper to find the real truth behind what people really want. But because what they do is they focus on deciphering what they don't know their clients really want. There's a great book about this if you're interested in this. I really recommend reading it. It's one of the best business books that I've ever read, and it's called The Culture Code by Clotaire Rapay. This man helps multinational companies enter new markets by figuring out exactly what the right code is, the marketing code that they have to put into their message to get people to buy their products. It's a fascinating read. It's full of great stories. Really recommend it. So Socratic questioning helps us reveal the essence. It helps us dig for the root of the problem, figure out what really makes our clients tick by understanding their deepest needs and fears. And it also helps us discover industry trends and hidden opportunities. It's not really a new method at all because a lot of professions already use this. I mean, the scientific method is based on Socratic questioning. And people in the legal industry also use it to get to the truth and the essence, as in psychology, to figure out what real problems are haunting their patients. Law enforcement use it to solve cases. So any industry that involves a deep human interaction or has to get into the psyche of the human is aware of the Socratic method. But the thing is, if most businesses, even though they're aware of this, they're not really applying it for their business development strategies, and they're missing out on a big opportunity. So what it is, it's really a framework for learning. It means that we make no assumptions. Socrates' philosophy is based on the fact that he's quoted as saying, "I know that I know nothing." That's the attitude you need. It's about avoiding the experience fallacy. Experience is good when it comes to certain processes that where you can't make mistakes, like flying airplanes or operating on people, surgical operations. But most of the time, experience really works against us because what we're doing is we're more focused on defending a legacy than finding out a new solution or a new way of doing things. So it also allows us to embrace the power of ignorance, because ignorance is very valuable because it gets us to see the world with fresh eyes. Now, here's a definition on the screen. I'm not going to read it out loud. Hit pause and read this. I picked this up from Wikipedia. Here are some more explanations about what the Socratic method actually is. But it really is the method of hypothesis elimination, and that means that you dig for the truth by questioning everything. Now, the simple way to put it really is to dig for the truth. So how you make this work? Well, it's a dialogic approach to understand information, and it's best done with you can obviously Socratically question something by yourself, but it really works well when there's more players involved, when there's more people. So it's really a Q&A session based on the belief that thinking comes from questions and answers lead to new questions, because again, it's not about the obvious questions, it's about finding out what the right questions are to ask those who have difficult answers, and when you come to those answers, you found something valuable. And very importantly, a Socratic session is not a debate, so there's no individual that needs to win the argument, because the aim is for the group to learn together. When I do Socratic sessions with companies, this is where I see it go wrong many times, because they turn into debates. You have the alpha character plays coming out, and you're the most powerful people in the room trying to dominate the arguments. This is not what this is. It's a structured way to question everything and find the right answers. It also forces us to explore multiple perspectives. So, and by doing that, it's also by applying activity of exploring and asking questions to the learning process. You need the best way to do this is to appoint a designated moderator. But even better is when this person is from outside the organization, because you don't want them to, you want them to be immune to the group's politics. This is extremely important. So you can have an unbiased moderator who can make sure that the right points are discussed, because a lot of these questions are uncomfortable, they're politically incorrect, and you really need somebody who does not have, who is not going to get punished politically for driving the session through. The moderator's responsibilities is to manage and distribute the discussion to avoid the smartest person in the room syndrome. It's what we spoke about before when something turns into a debate. But you've probably noticed that there's also people typically in organizations who really need to be that smartest person and who really need to dominate the meeting. So the moderator's responsibility is to ensure group participation. This is also a very typical thing that I encounter when I run Socratic sessions with companies, is that this is probably the most important responsibility of the moderator, is to keep this discussion balanced. It's also to prompt participants to elaborate their responses and to build upon what others have said. So you have to really make sure that there is a chain of Q&As that follow a logical pattern. And again, the outsider is going to be able to ask questions that insiders sometimes won't ask, questions on questions. And that's really where the magic starts happening. When you start a session like this, initially, it's going to be pretty, typical questions, typical answers. But it's the moderator's job to make sure that this discussion goes deeper and deeper. It's also to guide the participants to deepen and clarify and paraphrase their views. So it's all about really getting them to articulate their views very well. And again, this may be by a view that gets expressed and the moderator then dives deeper into this view with more questions. It's also the moderator's responsibility to keep track of all the discussion points and all the things that get revealed in this conversation. My advice is always to record these sessions entirely. Recording is not only a good way to later retrieve all the nuggets of information that have been yielded, but also it puts people on good behavior often when people know that they're being recorded. Good behavior means that there's less BS and there's more focus on the job at hand. So I totally recommend to always record these sessions. What also is great is to involve your clients in these Socratic questioning sessions, because after all, you're trying to figure out how to do more business with them. So having their voices around the table is very valuable in this process. So you may want to get your best clients around the table with you and participate in this. I know that for some companies that's going to be quite uncomfortable because you are going to go through the laundry room of your company. But I think if it's all about improvement, you may be brave enough to involve your clients in this. And if you frame it right, your clients are going to want to help you because they've already chosen you for the business. So they're definitely going to want to help you improve that business. I think that only makes sense, right? So why does this all matter to business development? Well, first of all, it's going to help you make deeper connections with clients, and it's going to help you discover new opportunities. It's about asking the right questions. It's better understanding the true realities and challenges of our customers, but also create a framework that supports a mindset for innovation. Innovation is about being uncomfortable. It's about going where others have not gone before. And the way to reveal what the right path is obviously to find opportunities that lie below the surface that no one else can see. And to do that, you really need to go through this process of questioning everything and seeing the world with fresh eyes. Let me give you a few examples of questions that we can use. For example, for client questions, you may want to start with, what problem do we really solve? What is the real problem? What is the root problem behind the problem that you solve? Why are you essentially in business? It's often not why you think you're in business, but it's often, you have to think deeper about what does a solution exactly look like, and what are the dynamics of the problem? How is the problem affecting our client's business and their life? Even on the personal level, in the end, we get chosen by clients for business. It's a group of people, or it's an individual who chooses us. So we have to understand really what their world exactly looks like and what prompts them to make these decisions. What does the client's risk spectrum exactly look like? Do we understand exactly what the client regards as risk and all its dimensions, such as monetary, regulatory, political, all those kind of elements of risk? We have to question what really drives or what keeps the client awake at night. That's really what this is about. How does our client define success? I mean, success is not always only about returns and money and profit. There may be other definitions of success that we're unaware of. If we're aware of these definitions, and if we're aware what really means success to a client, it's going to be much easier to craft a solution that is in line with that, and then also articulate that, right? Why do they hire? Why don't they hire? Or why do they work with us? Or why won't they work with us? So, and so on. So these are just a few examples of questions, but it doesn't all, you pretty much be sure that the more difficult the questions, the better the results. Because again, this is about going to the questions that you usually would not be asking. And Socratic questioning is applicable to your entire business. So it's not only to clients, but it's also valuable to reevaluate the internal workings of your business, your processes. It's you can get a deeper understanding of really where your industry is going, what are the opportunities and the challenges, what is the competitive landscape like, regulations, all those kind of things. You can get deeper into that through this method. And again, it lies at the foundation of an innovative business development culture. I mean, if you live in a business or work in a business where everything is always questioned, and you can pretty much assure yourself that if you apply this process, you're always going to be on the cutting edge. And to me, most importantly, it lets you stand out because you truly relate to the needs of your clients. This is really what it's all about. It's a process to really make that special, deeper connection with your clients. I hope that makes sense to you. I mean, if this is of interest, we can talk about this a little bit more. I do this professionally, so I run Socratic sessions, but you can just get in touch with me through email or via my website on the contact button, and we can talk about this a little bit more. But so what I hope you can come away with is that the basis of a good business development strategy is all really about making sure that you're asking the right questions and looking for the right answers. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until very soon.